TRC EDC back again with another knife video. This is the Protech Rockeye, the operator version. I've had several different versions of Protechs throughout the years, so I know what the base Protechs feel like, and I know what the operator series feels like. I've got an Ultimate Custom, I've got titanium ones, so I'm going to talk about in this review, even though I've only handled the operator version of this particular Protech knife, I'm going to talk about the base versions as well, because I do have experience with a lot of base version Protechs. So let's go ahead and do some size comparisons right off the bat. This is the CQC7, the Emerson operator version as well, and the Protech Malibu. This is the Benchmade Super Freak and the Mini Freak. As you can see, the handle very similar in length. The blade slightly longer on the Freak. The Benchmade Griptilian, barely shorter on the blade, a little bit shorter on the handle. Here's a Benchmade Bugout. And everyone's favorite size comparisons, the Paramilitary 2, which is the same size blade pretty much. Maybe it's slightly shorter. And the Para 3. Let's see if we line up the pivots there. And maybe the blade's about the same length. Okay, let's talk about the good and the bad on this. Good right off the bat is this is a Les George design. Les George's designs are really well known, and it's pretty easy to tell when this is one of his knives. They sort of all evoke the same silhouette. So this does have that Les George design, which means that the ergonomics on this are actually going to be pretty good. Right off the bat, I'll tell you that even though these are not contoured, these are flat, even though that's the case, I think the ergonomics on this are going to be pretty good, about a 7.5 out of 10, which is pretty good for flat scales. So that's a plus right there. Number two is the finish on this. The operator series is my favorite Protech finish. It is just excellent. It's DLC blade, DLC handle, and you've got that tritium insert. It does glow in the dark. It doesn't look like it on camera here, but I have a video where I sort of turn the lights out and everything, and you can see, but it does glow in the dark, which is pretty cool. Tritium, of course, is a radioactive material that is relatively safe for you to have with you, but or supposedly completely safe for you to have with you, but it does glow because it's radioactive, which is kind of cool. Next is the blade steel on this. So Protech a lot of times will do 154 cm, which actually is a great blade steel, and is something really underrated. A lot of people complain about it at the price mark that they charge. This is actually S35 VN. My understanding is, even though some of the other operator series knives are 154 cm, that this one in particular is S35 VN, which is cool. It's nice to see them do an upgrade. S35 VN, of course, is a super steel and is pretty well rounded in the different aspects of steel, ease of sharpening, toughness, edge holding, and corrosion resistance. So that's cool. Not that the corrosion resistance is really a big issue, especially with the DLC coating, but they do have satin versions of this knife, and so it's good to know that those satin versions, which are also, I believe, S35 VN, are going to have a lot of those stainless properties. And by the way, 154 cm is also a very stainless steel as well, so you're not going to have much rust problems with that either. So that is great. The next thing on here is that the action, this is a Protech action, so you're going to get really, really good action. Let me see if I can demonstrate that. Yeah, you can see the snap on that. I'm trying to hold it just by the button so you can really see the reverberation. It really is a great snap on this. They do a great job. I did show my TR3 recently, had an uneven grind in the bevel. As you can see, they actually did great on the grind on this one, so I'm very happy about that. I like the blade shape on here. This swedge adds a lot of visual interest. I think it's great. It also adds sort of some thickness throughout here that or maintain some thickness throughout there to add lateral strength, which is also a good thing. It has a nice, decently high grind to get to a decently thin edge, despite the relatively thick stock. Let's go ahead and take a look at that stock. This is it up against the stock on the Malibu. Looks pretty similar to the stock on the Malibu, but it is, and here's the stock against a Griptilian. Yeah, so it's about a similar stock to a Griptilian. I will say that the edge on here feels a little thicker than some of these other knives. I believe they do a little bit better job into getting a thinner edge on the Malibu, and well, let's also see it against the paramilitary. Yeah, it's a little bit thinner than the paramilitary, but the paramilitary at the end of the day I think actually gets to a slightly thinner edge. So that is that's just something to be aware of. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, the Rockeye is sort of a tough knife, right? It's not necessarily meant to be a complete slicer in design, so I don't mind the fact that that it is designed for a little bit robustness behind the edge. Next thing on here is we covered the action, we covered the tritium button. I think that's pretty much it for the good. All right, let's talk about, actually, last thing on the good is the price. So the price is actually pretty good. It's about $225 for the base model. It's about $280 for the operator model. $280 is actually a pretty good price for an operator model in general, but especially considering the base price is $225, because some of the operators are actually like $100 more than their base models. So it's nice to see that this is maybe only an additional $55 or so. You know, it's that's a good thing. So as far as the operator version goes, that's great. As far as the base version, $225, you know, it really isn't a bad price. S35VN for an automatic with that really snappy action from Protech. They do a great job, even though they have aluminum on their handles, they do a great job with it. Just as good, if not better, than Benchmade, and Benchmade is able to maintain prices around that $200 with the same aluminum. So, you know, I definitely think that that the materials are totally fine in that regard. Also, this is all made in the USA, and that also helps justify some of the price. And you can feel good about supporting, to the extent that you are, you know, an American, you can feel good about supporting something that's made in America. If you're not American, you're overseas. It's very likely this is probably a restricted item, but if it's not, you know, U.S. quality does tend to be very good. All right. Next thing on this, on the negative, is the clip here. So the clip is sort of one of the, it's very similar to a lot of the old Benchmade clips. However, in this particular iteration of it, you know, they use this, this thing sticks up here. So the problem with it is the way it interacts with your hand. So the way I have it here, right, this part, it fits very nicely on the edge of my hand here, which is great. I have a large size hand, by the way, so it's a pretty common size for a lot of people. So my hand fits very nicely in there. The problem is this part sticks up and really creates a hot spot on my hand right here. In order to be comfortable, my hand would really need to be up here on that clip. So the clip would either need to be longer or shorter in order to not create the hot spot where it is. In this particular instance, I think they could have gone with a shorter clip or gotten rid of this lanyard hole in order to move the clip up so they wouldn't have encountered that same problem. This lanyard hole again also is a problem. I don't like lanyard holes that force the clip to move downward. I just think it's, look, and I'm sorry, Les George, but I think it's a little bit lazy design. I understand why people do it, and you know, if you are a lanyard guy, it does make sense to sort of put it back here. But I think the vast majority of people these days are not lanyard guys, and therefore having this hole right here doesn't really serve a purpose other than pushing the clip downward. Next thing is, just in general on the operator series, you'll notice that these buttons rotate. You can rotate them pretty easily. It's really not a big deal at all, but it kind of drives the OCD in me insane. And I'm just gonna, but this is something that's common on pretty much all the operator series. You know, you can see that it does it there. So it's not just common to this particular one, but it is, at the end of the day, it's a circular button and it's going to spin in there. But it's just annoying that that tritium vial won't stay straight. So I don't necessarily love that. Also, the jimping here, something I forgot to mention on the good, is actually pretty good jimping. It's not too sharp or anything, well-rounded, and it fits in your hand well. All right, going back to the bad, I think that's pretty much it on the bad. This is, for the most part, a great knife. As far as do I recommend this knife, so it's a really competitive market at that 225 to 280 mark. There's really a lot of options that you can go with. You can go with, for example, a PM2 with titanium scales at that at that level. You can go into let's see, I'm just bringing up some options here. You can go up into a drift at that level. You can maybe even find a tactile, what is this, the Rockwall, right? These are all sort of around that price range. You're gonna have a lot. You're gonna have, the Ultratech is gonna be at that price range. You're gonna be at the TRM Atom, right? I mean, I know all these aren't really apples to apples, but the point is that there's a lot of really competitive knives at that level, and it's something that you just have to be aware of when you make this purchase. All of that being said, is this a recommendable knife? Yes. And if an auto is legal in your area, and an auto of this size is legal in your area, then I do recommend this. And frankly, I would definitely recommend it as an EDC. This is, a tough, well-designed knife that is going to be something that, can either be, a regular EDC for you, or it could really be a hard user. There is no problem hard using this. And frankly, I've been hard using my Emerson, pretty well since I got it. And you can see definitely the DLC is taking some stuff here. I'm sure with a magic eraser I could get a bunch of that off, but because I've got this one and I just have so many other knives, this one's going on the sale block. But I do recommend it, and if I didn't have so many other knives, I would definitely be putting this to more use. So that's the review. If you guys have any questions or anything, drop them below. Hit the like button and the subscribe button if you haven't already. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and stay tuned because I'm going to have a ton of giveaways coming up on the channel. Thanks so much.